rise. Clinton County Youth Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Roberts now presiding.
Juvenile court hearings are closed hearings. The only persons allowed in the courtroom are people directly involved in the case. If there is anyone in the courtroom who is not directly involved in this case, please leave at this time. If you are not a youth court member, a defendant, or her parent, please leave at this time. Everything that goes on in youth court is confidential. We will take an oath of confidentiality if everyone will please raise their right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear that I will not divulge.
I solemnly swear that I will not divulge.
Either by words or signs.
Either by words or signs.
Any information which comes to my knowledge.
Any information which comes to my knowledge.
In the course of a youth court session.
In the course of a youth court session.
And that I will keep confidential all said proceedings.
And that I will keep confidential all said proceedings.
Which may be held in my presence.
Which may be held in my presence.
Jury, please remain standing. All others may be seated. Jury, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to listen to the evidence and give a fair and impartial verdict in this case?
Yes.
You may be seated. As jurors, it is your responsibility to determine an unbiased sentence. This is a criminal case. The defendant is charged with unlawful possession of marijuana. Bailiff, please call the first case.
In the matter of Bailey Smith, case number 516, offense, unlawful possession of marijuana.
Prosecution, are you ready to begin?
Yes, Your Honor.
The prosecution may make their opening statement.
Your Honor, may I address the jury?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor and members of the jury, we know that Bailey is guilty of violating the law. She has been charged with unlawful possession of marijuana. We also know that Bailey has been given the chance of not having a juvenile record by being referred to youth court. I think that Bailey needs to learn from her actions. I recommend the following youth court sentence: 17 hours of community service, an apology letter to the school, a peer pressure class, and 1 jury duty. Thank you.
Defense, please present your opening statement.
Your Honor, may I address the jury?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, members of the jury, Bailey has committed a crime. She acted inappropriately because she wanted to impress her friends. And while this does not excuse what she did, it must be considered when you decide her sentence. She's a good kid, and we need to remember that the purpose of youth court is to reform and not to punish. I recommend a sentence of 8 hours of community service, 2 jury duties, and a peer pressure class. Thank you.
I call Bailey to the stand and ask the bailiff to place her under oath.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Yes. You may be seated.
Prosecution, please present your case.
Your Honor, may I approach the defendant?
Yes, you may.
In your own words, can you describe what happened?
I was caught with marijuana in school.
Why did you bring it to school?
My friends thought I couldn't do something like that, so I proved them wrong.
How did you get caught?
I guess a rumor started going around that someone had it, so the principal called the police and the dogs found it in my locker.
Did you tell the truth when the principal and the police confronted
Yes.
you? What were your punishments at school and at home?
At school, I was suspended for 2 weeks, and I got kicked off the track team. At home, I really didn't have a punishment except getting my phone taken away.
Did bringing the marijuana into school have an effect on your classmates?
Yes.
Can you describe what that was?
It disrupted the day, and everyone was kind of scared. It was very confusing.
Were any of your classmates scared, and did you understand what was going on?
Objection, Your Honor. Multiple questions.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I will ask the question separately.
You may proceed.
Were any of your classmates scared?
Yes.
Did you understand what was going on?
Not at first, no. It was very confusing.
Do you think you let your teammates down when you were kicked off the track team?
Looking at it now, yeah.
Thank you. No further questions.
Defense, please present your case.
Your Honor, may I address the witness?
You may.
Have you ever used drugs?
No,
When you brought the drugs to school, did you know the harm it would cause?
not at first.
What was the purpose of showing your friends?
They didn't think I could do something like that, so I proved them wrong.
What were your intentions with the drugs?
Nothing, just to show it to them.
Did you plan to sell them or give them away?
No,
How are your grades at school?
I usually make the honor roll.
What effect did all of this have on you?
Well, track was everything to me, so I'm really disappointed that I got kicked off the track team, and I let everyone down. And most of my friends' parents don't trust me anymore because they think I'm a bad influence.
You sorry for what you did?
Yes,
Will you abide by the sentence handed down today?
yes.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Would you like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. May I address the witness?
You may.
Did you think of the potential consequences when you brought the drugs to school?
No,
Did you consider how your actions would affect the victim?
no.
Thank you. No further questions.
Would you like to cross-examine the witness?
I would, Your Honor. May I address the witness?
Yes, you may.
Although you did not understand the consequences at the time, do you understand them now?
Yes,
Would you do this again?
no.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Would you like to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down. Does the prosecution have any further witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. I call Bailey's father to the stand.
I call Bailey's father to the stand and ask the bailiff to place him under oath.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Prosecution, you may approach the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. How did you find out about what happened?
I found out when I got a phone call from the principal, and when I showed up to the school, they showed me what was found in the locker.
How did this affect you and your family?
Well, it made a severe disruption to my own life. I've had to miss work on several occasions for meetings at school and this occasion as well. So yes, that's been a major disruption to my life, and I'm just generally disappointed at what Bailey has done.
Bailey said her only punishment at home was losing her phone. Why?
Well, she got kicked off the track team, which was pretty much everything to her. In addition, the suspension from school has isolated her from a lot of her friends. So I felt like the only natural punishment in this case was to take away her phone.
Do you think of Bailey as a leader or a follower?
Definitely a follower.
Being that she is a follower, what do you think is to prevent this from happening again?
I hope that she will learn that her actions have consequences and that she knows how to stand up to her friends.
No further questions. Thank you.
Defense, do you have any questions for the witness?
I do, Your Honor. May I approach the witness?
You may.
Has Bailey ever been in trouble like this before?
No, Bailey's always been a great kid. Her teachers always rave about her in school. The only thing at home is that sometimes I complain that she doesn't clean her room.
What do you believe is the reason of Bailey's actions being out of character?
I am recently a single father, so that does make it difficult to balance duties at home. I think that could have had an influence on her, and maybe she was trying to get my attention, but it's also in part due to the environment she created with her friends.
What do you hope for Bailey to get out of youth court?
I hope that she learns that her actions have consequences and that she needs to stick up to her friends and know how to say no.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Prosecution, would you like to cross-examine the witness?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down. Does the defense attorney or prosecuting attorney have any further witnesses?
Your Honor, I would like to call the victim advocate to the stand.
I call the victim advocate to the stand and ask the bailiff to place her under oath.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Your Honor, may I approach the victim advocate?
Yes, you may.
Do you have the victim impact statement with you?
Yes.
I would like to enter this as Exhibit A. Can you tell the court who wrote the victim impact statement and on what date?
The school was a victim in this case. Victims who are unable to attend the hearing are asked to complete a victim impact sheet. The principal completed the sheet and submitted it to the project coordinator on March 10th.
The victim advocate will speak on behalf of the victim to ensure that the victim's views are presented in court. I, as prosecuting attorney, will read the questions on the victim impact sheet, and the victim advocate will answer the victim's responses. Please describe the crime that occurred at school.
A student brought to a teacher's attention that there were rumors circulating on social media that marijuana was being sold on school grounds that day.
Who committed the crime?
Bailey.
How did this crime affect you, other school staff, and/or the students?
Our school day was completely disrupted. Students had to hold in place while police searched the school. Some students were scared as they did not know why this was happening. Teachers could not continue with their lessons, so students were not only afraid, but missing a large portion of the school day while we tried to resolve this matter. The lunch periods had to be rearranged to accommodate the search. I, along with other administration staff, had to neglect our other duties to help resolve this situation.
What disciplinary actions did the school take?
Our school has zero tolerance for alcohol, smoking, and drugs. In addition to filing criminal charges, Bailey was suspended for 10 days and removed from all extracurricular activities for the rest of the year.
Did the offender show remorse?
I believe Bailey regrets her choices because of the consequences she has faced. I'm not sure that she is remorseful or that she fully understands the seriousness of her actions.
The youth court jury will decide a sentence for the person who committed this crime. What do you feel would help repair the harm that this has caused you?
Community service, peer pressure education, and an essay on the danger of marijuana use for adolescents.
Understand that the victim advocate is limited to reading the information provided on the victim impact sheet. However, does the defense attorney have any questions for the victim advocate?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down. At this time, you may enter the deliberating room to develop any questions you may have for the defendant, their parents, or witnesses. This court is now in recess.
So what questions do we have for Bailey?
Peer pressure was mentioned in the testimony, so I think we need to ask Bailey if she was peer pressured to bring in the marijuana.
Any other questions?
We need to clarify if she understands how her actions impacted family, friends, and the community.
Based on that, we could ask her, looking back on the event, what she could have done differently.
Good question. Definitely, yeah.
One thing that wasn't brought up was an apology. Maybe we could ask her if she apologized for all the chaos that she caused.
Yeah, for sure.
Since track was so important to her, we should ask if the school will be letting Bailey back on the track team.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Good. We should ask Bailey's father if he likes all of Bailey's friends.
Yeah, that's a good question. Any other ones?
I have one. Do you think Bailey has learned how to stand up to her friends.
That was good.
Yeah. Any other ones?
No.
For Bailey, we have, were you pressured to bring in the marijuana? Do you understand your actions? Do you understand how your actions affected your peers? What could you have done differently? And did you apologize for the damage that you caused? And for Bailey's father, we have, will the school let Bailey back onto the track team? Do you like Bailey's friends? Do you think Bailey has learned how to stand up for her friends?
All rise.
This court is now in session. You may be seated.
I would like to remind the witnesses that they are still under oath. Does the jury have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. For Bailey, were you pressured into bringing the marijuana to school?
Yes.
Do you understand how your actions affected your peers?
Yes, partially.
What could you have done differently?
I could have done everything differently. I let down everyone.
Did you apologize for the damage that you caused?
I tried to apologize to my father, but he's still upset. For the school, I'm not really sure how to apologize.
And questions for Bailey's father. Will the school be letting Bailey back onto the track team?
As for this year, she is suspended from all extracurricular activities, including the track team. As far as we know, she is not suspended permanently. However, she's going to have to earn the respect back to get back on the team.
Do you like Bailey's friends?
I have discussed with her that I would rather she not hang out with some of her friends. I think some of her friends can be very immature and lack support for one another with positive decisions.
Do you think Bailey has learned how to stand up for herself?
I think that she has learned from the consequences of this case. However, I am not sure that she has learned how to stand up to her friends and say no.
Thank you.
At this time, the jury foreperson has asked all of the jury questions and the witnesses have responded. I will now ask the attorneys to share their closing arguments. Defense, please present your closing arguments.
Your Honor, may I address the jury?
Yes, you may.
Judge Roberts, members of the jury, you have now heard the testimonies and viewed the evidence of this case. When deciding Bailey's sentence, please take all of this into consideration. Once again, I propose a sentence of 8 hours of community service, 2 jury duties, and a peer pressure class. Thank you.
Prosecution, please present your closing arguments.
Your Honor, may I address the jury?
You may.
Your Honor and members of the jury, Bailey violated the law. I ask that you impose a sentence that will help Bailey. She needs to learn that her actions affect others. After hearing all the testimony and evidence presented here today, I recommend that you sentence Bailey to 17 hours of community service, an apology letter to the school, 1 jury duty, and a peer pressure class. Thank you.
You have now heard the evidence and closing arguments from both sides of this case. The defendant has been charged with unlawful possession of marijuana. You will determine the conditions that Bailey will abide by to have this case closed. You as jurors have the authority to impose a mandatory sentence of 5 to 25 community service hours and a jury duty, with 2 being the maximum sentence. You also have additional options such as apology letters, an essay related to the crime, and educational classes. The bailiff will escort the jury into the deliberating room, where they will decide what sentence to hand down. The court will now take a recess while the jury deliberates.
So I feel like 17 hours is kind of like too much, but maybe we can like lower that down a few hours.
Yeah.
Like 12, 13, like 14 maybe.
14.
14 sounds good.
What about jury duties? How many do you think she needs?
Two.
Two?
Probably.
Yeah.
All right. How about classes? We have peer pressure classes, anger management, stress management, smoking education, and bullying education. What do we think she needs?
Definitely a peer pressure.
Peer pressure? You're right. Does she need a drug education class?
I
I don't think so. I don't
She wasn't smoking the marijuana at all, so she doesn't need a drug education class.
I think one jury duty would be better than two. Just one's better.
Okay.
And then what about written assignments or special instructions for her?
I was thinking maybe a letter to her dad and maybe the school.
Maybe the schools everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Letter to dad.
In school. We have 14 hours of community service, one jury duty, a peer pressure class, and an apology letter to her father and to the school.
What about the essay that the victim advocate mentioned about like the drug use for like adolescents, I think? Yeah.
No, I think we're good with what we have. Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
Yes. Does anyone disagree?
No.
All right, then we're all good.
All rise.
This court is now in session. You may be seated.
Has the jury reached a decision?
Yes, Your Honor, we have.
Bailiff, please bring me the decision. The youth court jury has reached a majority decision and the judge has signed the decision. Bailey, would you and your father rise to hear the decision? Jury foreperson, please read the decision.
We, the jury of the Clinton County Youth Court, do hand down the following sentence: 14 hours of community service, one jury duty, 2 apology letters, 1 to the school and 1 to Bailey's father, and 1 peer pressure class.
You may be seated. I think this sentence is fair and appropriate for the offense committed here. We all have to understand that society has rules to protect all of us, and that even though we are young, we have obligations to follow these rules. Based upon what occurred here, I am confident that you will complete your community service and fulfill the special conditions imposed upon you this evening. This youth court is now in recess.